Hello and welcome to another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joining me in the studio, well, he's known as the only man who can make a slinky go upstairs. He's my co-host, he's Mr. Taylor.
Get up them stairs, get up there.
It's more willpower, isn't it? Is it like telekinesis?
It's like telekinesis, yeah,
that's a superpower.
Yeah. Oh,
wow.
Yeah, that'd be my dream poem.
Well, thank you, and welcome back to a new year. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And we have an exciting episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast. Lots to come this year.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us in the first show of 2023 and our 199th episode.
Yeah.
Wow. So whether you're a new visitor or a repeat offender, make sure that your New Year's resolution this year is to subscribe to the show, because we have some fantastic shows lined up for the coming year.
Yeah,
so
got some bits and bobs coming.
We have actually got a great show this week.
Yes.
And it's a topic that has been coming up a bit, but I first saw this because, you know, I'm a big fan of the Coast to Coast stuff.
Yeah.
But I first heard this story on a Coast to Coast show, and it's the story of Mels Hole.
Oh,
now,
yes.
If you don't know what Mels Hole is, according to an urban legend, it's a bottomless pit. Yeah. This is in Ellensburg in Washington, and it claims about the first sort of kind of evidence to suggest that this hole existed, and it was on Art Bell's Coast to Coast, and this chap came on the Mel Waters came on the show to discuss the whole
incident.
Well, the whole incident. I like it. I like the pun. We'll be going into it a bit later on. Obviously, if you want to actually listen to the full Mel's Coast to Coast interview, obviously, there's a couple there. You should check them out. But we'll get into that a bit later on in the show.
Yeah.
But we've got lots to cover. Yeah. So, obviously, including this week's topic, this week's news.
Oh, yeah.
We have a little Kanye West news.
Yeah. What's he been up to?
We'll be getting into that in a bit later on. Also, just our normal weekly roundup of the week's events. Yeah. And there's been a lot to cover this year already. So, but I've just begun. I do have a question for you.
All right.
Why do you think black holes are the most successful kleptomaniacs? Because everything they grab, they never return. Hey, we've got to start on a science-based joke, really, haven't we?
Well, yeah.
Well,
you've been at the Christmas crackers, I can
been on the
say.
Christmas sherry.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to say, I mean, it is a new year. What have you been up to this year? I mean, firstly, because obviously we've not seen anybody, and I hope everybody out there had a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year.
Yeah, and happy birthday to Graham as well. Yeah, it was his birthday New Year's Day, I think it was.
Graham?
Or the day after. Yeah, one of our listeners out there.
Happy birthday, Graham. I hope you had a great birthday.
Yeah, man.
And like I say, I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
Did you get up to anything exciting yourself?
Working
hard.
For my primary, yeah, man.
Well, mate, you've got to do it, haven't you? So, I mean,
double bubble, innit, son? You know what I mean?
If it's coming in, you've got to take it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you not get up to anything festive? Did you have a nice Christmas? Like I say, we've not been on air since, like, before Christmas.
We haven't, have we? No, it's like a Christmas rush on getting, last bits and bobs of the presents.
Doing your 90% of men duty.
Yeah.
Getting it all on Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did start, I must admit, in December this year.
We did talk about this, so didn't we, in the Christmas show, that we actually did kind of like do a bit of effort this year?
Yeah.
In that respect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I've done a little bit of research into different areas of like phenomena.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because, like I say, we have got quite a lot of great topics coming up, and I've been doing a bit of research as well over the Christmas period for episodes that we're going to be covering.
Yes.
So exciting times.
Yes.
Plus, we've got 200th episode next step, and it's the next one.
It is our next one.
I cannot believe 200 episodes in. I think I kind of, well, with extras and stuff, it's definitely over 200. I think we are actually getting close to 300 actual downloadable content.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of the main episode, we're up to 200. I kind of felt like we would get this far.
Yeah.
Maybe I always kind of felt like we would have kind of been over it by this point and retired. And maybe, but we can't do it, can we?
Nah. Got to persist.
Well, that's coming up, so make sure you be sticking around for that, and obviously subscribe on YouTube because we'll be doing a video episode.
We will be doing. So
and if you don't go on YouTube,
again.
you won't get notified. So make sure you go over to YouTube, subscribe to the Never Straight Answer podcast, and ring the notification bell. And then as soon as we rather go live or upload, you'll get notified.
You will do.
I love doing that. I always do that by accident. And just kind of, we've got the springs on the microphone.
You know what?
stands.
I'm touching the springs now. Actually.
And I always kind of like strum it, like and make a rattling noise. I always wonder if that comes through. Anyway, so my Christmas was kind of chilled out. Really do very much. But like it was in a nice way, you know. So like a lot of box sets and movies. I watched the Rings of Power. Finally got round to that.
Rings of Power.
Well, yeah, it's the new Lord of the Rings series.
And
it's basically based 3,000 years before the Lord of the Rings, with the big battle, Sauron and his One Ring, and the rest
just sounds wrong.
In the story, that first opening 10 minutes of the Lord of the Rings, you get that sort of monologue about what happened back then, and there was. Not just One Ring. The One Ring ruled all the other rings. Yeah. So this is kind of the story how all the rings came into being. Like, you know, you've got the elven rings, the dwarf rings, the human rings. It's interesting. I mean, it's good. I'm hoping it kind of picks up and gets like better into the second series, but it did make me want to watch Lord of the Rings again straight after.
To be honest, I don't think I'm even contemplating on looking at.
To be fair, it's
series.
I'm
happy with the movies.
I was kind of not that excited when it first came out, and it was just that I was looking for something to watch, but like actually was kind of all right, and I wasn't too bothered. You know, and I ended up watching it all.
I'm sort of like that with the Star Wars lot as well, though. You know what I mean?
I just think with the Star Wars now, it's like
I want to see the films. I don't want to see the series.
The market, I think, with Star Wars, and I feel like
fucking Marvel.
It was nice. It was nice when there was just a trilogy of films, and it had something special. Whereas now, you're kind of awash with Star Wars movies, and it's kind of like. Oh, right.
And
have
you've
I
got
seen the story? Have I seen The Mandalorian? Have I seen the this, that, and the other? And it's like...
Have I seen all the films? Because one of this bit may connect to that bit later on.
Well, it is similar to the Marvel
so you got to see all of it.
But it's all owned by Disney, so that's why,
Well, what do you expect? Fucking dickhead.
Anyway, so going forward, Patreon, if you'd like to come and help us out on Patreon, you know what to do. You can go over to Patreon. That's a New Year's resolution
videos for you soon for that.
Potentially. You know what I mean? Get over to Patreon and maybe make that your New Year's resolution to support us over here. You can also get some merch over on the website.
Oh, you can.
So yeah, it's all good stuff. Yeah. All good stuff indeed.
Yes.
What else have I been watching? Wednesday. I don't know if anyone's seen this.
Wednesday, Saturday, mate. No,
it's Saturday today, but Wednesday is in the Addams Family. There's a new series which is focused primarily on Wednesday
Another
Addams.
series from a film.
Yeah, but again, it's kind of like running out of ideas, aren't they? So they have to kind of go, well, we'll take this element from this. And I've got to admit,
major problems, man.
People might disagree with me, but I kind of see it as a bit of a Harry Potter type of thing, where you've already got this world built that's like got all these kind of mythical kind of monsters and ghouls and strange weirdos and misfits and werewolves.
They've had to change your name in that, actually.
Well, how do you mean? Wednesday's called Wednesday. Wednesday Addams.
No, when you were on about Harry Potter.
Oh, right. Why is that?
One of the words in it, the Americans can't say.
Expelliarmus. What
something
can't they
like
say?
that.
What can't they say?
I think it is. I'd seen it on my feed before when I was looking. Oh, here it is, actually. There you go.
Okay, let's have a look. Scientists have just found... Right, pass it here a minute. Right, that's not even the right bit. So, the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was renamed because Americans don't know what a philosopher is. Yeah, actually, it is called the Sorcerer's Stone or something in America.
Yeah, well, do you remember back in the days where there used to be a name for the film?
We do that now. I mean, Prince Harry's book, right, which is just about, which we'll talk about. We will talk about this later on. But Prince Harry's book, the reason why all these leaks have happened are because a Spanish version of the book was leaked early, right?
Yeah, so, that's right.
But the book is called Spare, right, in English, right? But it's
spare my language.
But no, as in the air and a spare. So, you've got like the heir, which will become the king, but you always have the spare, which is the
right,
brother.
all right. Yeah,
and that's why his book's called Spare, because he's the spare, basically. And
well, he's not. Well, no, he's not no more.
But the book isn't called that in Spanish. It's translated to something else.
Gringo.
Fuck knows, potentially, but I mean, like, I'll try and find it. I mean, like,
Rich Glingo.
So, what is Prince Harry's book
God in Spain.
called in Spain?
That's what it's called. It's Prince Harry's book called in Spain. It's got to be Summit. I'll tell you what, he's got some balls. I'll give him that.
Well, a lot of it's kind of like quite thingy, isn't it?
Quite family orientated.
Well, again, we'll go into it a bit later on, because I mean, there's a lot of kind of claims he's made that are especially his military claims that are a bit kind of like, why would you even say that? Do you know what I mean? Like, so I can't find it, so I'm not going to spend time looking for it.
You can do that out there.
But yeah, it translates as a different name, and they do it all the time. I think there was another movie that was pretty kind of well known, or like a big American blockbuster, and they changed the name for here because they didn't think we'd get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it happens a lot that I mean, I wouldn't be
in the past it used to happen all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean,
all
totally.
the time.
But like, yeah, they do change the name of films for different markets.
Well, revenue,
definitely. Well, it just means that like it's going to be more appealing, or they're going to get it if you like.
That's part of the concept of it anyway. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, so there you go. Well, moving on to this week's topic, I think. I think we should get into it.
Let's dig ourselves a hole.
Let's dig ourselves out of a hole, because Mels Hole is such an interesting story. Yeah, and if you've not heard about it, then
where you been?
Where have you been? Living in a
where
hole.
You going, man? It's 2023 now.
Well, Mel had a hole, had a very fine hole. It was a big hole indeed.
Very
and
big
he threw
hole,
in his wife, and he threw in his couch, and he threw in his children free. Well, Mel, according to an urban legend, had a bottomless pit. Yeah,
he did.
And he did, in fact, use it for trash. Yeah, like he'd just go over
people around the area where
if he had like a sofa that was a bit tatty, or
fridge,
a fridge,
television,
all this
yachts.
general caravans, anything that he wanted to get rid of, bodies.
Plenty of bodies. Yeah,
he was a pit on his property which seemed to be bottomless, and for decades, him as well as his neighbours used the pit
as a dumping ground.
To get rid of unwanted items, trash, whatever. The urban legend started on February 21st, 1997, when a man identifying as Mel Waters appeared on as a guest on Coast to Coast.
Oh yeah,
like.
Fucking hell.
What he claimed
for hours.
Was that obviously he owned the rural property, which was about 14 kilometers west of Ellensburg in Kansas, in Washington.
Yeah.
He said that he had this mysterious hole, and obviously it was so deep that they'd been throwing stuff in this hole for absolutely ages, years and years and years.
Yeah.
But it wasn't getting full. Yeah, they could still never see the trash piling up.
Yeah.
And
About
he starts
15
thinking,
feet of a wall.
wow, how
like
deep is this hole? Like, I mean, you take it for granted you've got a hole in the back garden.
Yeah,
and you
fill
don't
it
think
in,
how deep it is.
Yeah.
Well, how can you fill it in if it's actually bottomless? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
this guy's been throwing all sorts down in it, Mel in his hole.
He has.
Threw all sorts down in it. So, I mean, the fact that it's not filled up yet started making him wonder how deep this hole actually was. So
how they sent a camera down?
Well, this is back in 1997. I mean, cameras were
big,
but
massive
it
camera,
would have been a fucking Del Boy camera, like something that like the BBC had used.
Yeah.
A camcorder, not very good quality.
Wall.
I mean, especially in really low light.
Yeah,
so
that's
as soon as you're getting that camera down the hole, you're not seeing anything, are you?
I reckon we got the tech now to do it.
Well, he had certain ideas. He wanted to measure the depth of the hole, so he used fishing line. Attaching weights to one end and basically trying to work out how deep this was.
Yeah, because he had some substance that if it's water, it'll actually
fishing boilies. Yeah. So if you go fishing, you can get these like sort of food pellet balls that you attach to your hook.
As soon as it hit the water, it starts
to dissolve. So he figures, if I drop these down into the hole, I can judge whether there's water down there, because if they come back, wet or dissolved, then I know that there's water
at the bottom.
there,
I'm not
and I'm hitting the bottom. Well, potentially.
Because that's what he wanted to know. He wanted to know if it was a well, or is there any water or anything like that. That's what brought it on.
Every time he'd throw his boilies or he threw his weights down on the fishing line, they'd come up dry. But he wasn't convinced that he was getting down to the bottom. So I think each spool of fishing line, he was running through it, and then I ended up attaching another reel, and I think he went through about 15 reels before he got to about the 80,000 feet mark. Which 24,000 meters. Right.
Well, someone was saying, how could he do it? Because as it's going down further and further, you're actually creating more weight. So,
well, I was thinking, how does he know that this wire's not just coiling up on the bottom of the ground? I mean, if you just keep feeding, wire down, it's just going to appear that it's keep going and going and going, but it's not. It
could be on top of the fridge.
It could just be sat on top of a couch or a fridge that he's threw down there, and it's piling up because he just keeps feeding wire down. I mean, I'm not convinced that this could be a bottomless pit, because obviously...
Amazing.
I mean,
we'd be fucked if it was.
The planet's a planet, You can't go any more bottomless than getting all the way through, and
Not
I can't
only
see
that,
this doing that.
Scientifically, it will collapse anyway unless there's support on each side.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, I mean, he claimed that his neighbours had actually used the hole in disposing of a dog.
He did. Got rid of his dead dog, didn't he?
Just a fucking idiot. Why would he do that? I mean, this is what I mean. It's like, it's one of those, like...
He killed the dog. Obviously, he run it over.
Nobody asked questions when they're down near the hole.
Yeah, he didn't want the wife to know that he killed her best friend, and, so he's gone missing.
Do you think that, like, this is a pretty prominent, place for dumping bodies? Like, it does seem like if you got a bottomless pit.
Well, if I knew about a bottomless pit, hell yeah. I think all the gangsters in the area would be like, right, there's my man.
You saw nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, according to Waters, the hole was magical. It had magical properties, because the dog that was apparently thrown down there, was spotted a couple of days later by the owner, just running around the woods. And
with someone, apparently.
Well, I don't know. I didn't hear that. I heard that he was just there running around, and he tried to call to it, but it wasn't responding to his voice, as if it didn't know him. So then he started thinking, well, what's it with this hole? Because is there some sort of parallel universe, or a sort of a reason why I threw a dead dog down there and all of a sudden now it's alive running around?
I think it's roughly the same kind of animal breed, and the colour was the same. It was bought from the same shop.
But the funny thing about the hole was that in terms of animals, is no animals would want to go near it. Now that could be a case of the fear of the fact that there's a very deep well there, and that they know better to go anywhere near it.
Yeah, but birds won't
putting themselves at danger. Well, this is the thing, you see.
Plants will, but animals won't.
Animals wouldn't spend any time near the hole. They'd avoid it quite like the plague, pretty much. So, so the fact that all this was happening to him, and he'd thought, well, I can't do any more. I've researched it all I can, so what do I do? So, knowing that Art Bell and the Coast to Coast guys were, talking about these types of phenomenons and paranormal experiences, and things that you couldn't explain, he felt that might be a good outlet, and there'll be people out there who potentially have more information or more knowledge on this type of thing. So,
well, on the second one, Art Bell actually asked him, did he have a Bible with him?
Well, we'll get to the second, because he does come on again. But I mean, like, when he first goes on, he's kind of he's gone on in good faith, thinking that he was going to find somebody who was going to be able to help him, right, or answer some of the questions that he's got, right? But something else happened, really, didn't it? It was kind of like probably one of the worst things he could have done by going on the show, because
he wished he'd never done it, didn't he?
He said he was away at the time visiting family or something, and when he called, but when he returned back to his property, he found that it had been cordoned off by military.
Yeah,
and like
he,
federal agents, and basically he was banned from going on his own property, basically.
yeah, he never actually lived on the property.
So it's the Men in Black.
Yeah, actually, it was two guys in suits, and they ended up turning round because he wanted to get back on his property, and he turned round and actually said it'd be quite easily for us to find a drug den around here.
Oh, so they were like proper like.
But
you best fuck off, otherwise we'll make life very difficult for you.
He had a sort of drug den, but it was a legal one for certain.
How can you have a legal drug den?
No, because the plants around his ranch or his place, he actually don't really grow anywhere else. But there was some drug like plants around, but they can grow anywhere, you know what I mean?
Wait a minute, was Mel high? Was Mel really high when he found his hole? I don't know. I mean, the thing is...
Not too many witnesses on the stuff.
idea that, so you've got all the neighbours who've been using the hole, right? They can swear that they've been throwing stuff down there and they know it's bottomless because they never hear a splash or whatever. But you've also got the government agents who felt like it was worthy enough to go and investigate.
Yeah.
And God knows what tests they did on it.
Funny enough,
they basically told Mel that he wasn't to return and he was basically not to set foot on the property again.
When he got there, they actually turned around to him and said, "We're here because there was an airplane crash." This is where it started, where they were saying it's an airplane crash. There's nothing else, and this was
funny
the day,
though, isn't it?
Day after
that
being on Art
Bell. Exactly. So he's gone on there, and just like I'd assume that government maybe listens to us, but like they definitely listen to Art Bell.
The nosy bastards, anyway.
So if they're listening to Art Bell, seeing what cranks and crackpots are out there, something interesting might come up.
Yeah.
Such as this.
Truth.
And, if Art Bell's kind of like, spurring him on, wanting to find out more information, then it's a case of, they might find that interesting enough to go and investigate it. And if they think that it's got properties that are a bit magical or kind of out there, then surely that's the sort of thing the government would need in their property rather than having a random landowner.
To be honest, it just reminds me of the Skinwalker Ranch, sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
Because the government went in there, sent teams in there, had investigations and then just left there.
Well, the story gets weirder, right? Because wasn't he excommunicated or whatever? He was told to leave the country by the US government.
He was offered $250,000 every month, so he had
That's not a bad.
$3 million a year he was getting, and he went to Australia. He took his dogs. His dogs didn't have to go through
any quarantine.
No, none at all. They went,
like
"We'll sort it out." He said he was treated like a king and that. He went over there and he did some project out there. He's got some kind of project, but he also did a sanctuary for wombats.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
so he was looking after wombats.
So he basically set up himself a life out in Australia, hadn't he? Under the advisement of the US government not to return to the US.
March 1997.
But he got a bit homesick, didn't he? So he decided that he was gonna make his way over to the States. He wanted to see his nephew. Yeah. So he decided that he was gonna go meet up with his nephew. But straight away they were like being followed, and it was almost like, they were onto him straight away.
Yeah.
It was almost like, in fact, for some reason he decided to go back to the property. Yeah. But he wasn't. He just thought, I'll have a quick look. Yeah. And but again, bit of a silly thing to do. The next silly thing he did in 2000 was again go back on Art Bell. Now, considering he was told to stay out of the country, and he agreed to doing that. Yeah.
Broke contract.
He broke the contract and then reappeared in the United States on Art Bell's show in 2000.
Yeah.
Where he kind of went into all this and he kind of confirmed the story.
Yeah, and he asked about the money as well, because he made $9 million all in all. If he'd left the country for 3 years and come back, he made $9 million. He spent it on the project, the Wombat project as well. But he also said when he come back, because he broke the contract rules, he'd something to do with his divorce with his missus, because even to this day, his missus has disappeared.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
but apparently something within the
She
contract
might still be in Australia.
meant that he'd lost the
He'd
property.
lost all the money.
No, the property wasn't his.
Right.
So it turned
okay.
out the property ended up not being his. Obviously, the government have switched things around somewhere, and so she gained the money, the rest of the money, and he
way.
left with fuck all.
Well,
now.
does that mean he was able to come back in the country then?
Well, he went back
Well,
in
yeah,
the country, didn't he?
But
Yeah.
again, but it's about
Yeah.
what you know. So I mean, if
about-
they think he's like, a liability
Where is
because
he?
he knows bits,
Yeah.
but well, it was on his appearance in 2000 where a man saying that they had a hole very similar,
Yeah.
came on the air and basically was like claiming to be he was described himself as an internal medical man or a medicine man, on behalf of and a half-breed Native American.
Yeah.
He's a white guy, but he said that he told reporters in 2012 that he'd visited a hole many times during the 1960s and claimed that the US government had maintained it as a top secret base. Yeah.
Is this a Nevada one?
This is in Nevada.
Yeah.
So basically there was
Second
there
hole.
was conspiracies around alien activity
Yeah.
that was occurring. And this guy Gerald R. Osborne, who was also named as Red Elk,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
recruited Waters to
Ah.
come and work and do research on the hole
Right,
in Nevada.
Yeah. Why
Right.
not? He's got money in fucking.
Well, he's got
things to do.
experience. He knows
Yeah.
about holes. This hole, he knows. He's lived
Fucking
with
all
one.
well, yeah.
Live with one, throwing stuff in it. He's like, I know how to throw some fishing line down the hole. I'll help you.
Then she took his.
A red elk had a hole and a really big hole, and then fucking Waters came and helped him out. Yeah. So local news reporters who investigated the claims found no public records of anyone named Mel Waters though, who lived,
Yeah.
who claimed to own any property over there, in
Yeah, but look at what's his name?
Washington.
Look at Bob Lazar. Look how far they can go.
True.
You know what I mean?
Well, it started getting really interesting when apparently he started to work with the Native Americans and
Yeah.
especially Gerald, because
Get close to the info, man.
and I mean, this is when he gets into, I think it's 2002, after he's done the research and been out working in Nevada with the Native American chap.
Yeah.
That weird shit started happening. Right now, I'm not like I was saying to this. Yeah, there's a lot of properties about this hole in Nevada that I cannot categorically say were had the same properties in the Washington hole. Yeah, so whether the government went and cordoned it off and did a bit of research and found nothing or found everything, I don't know.
Well,
right?
someone went afterwards, didn't he, when he'd left the country to check out about this hole?
If there was a hole there is a hole there
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this
yeah.
property, and
But
it is a legit hole
all
because I've
the-
seen the Google map.
All the area was like full of tracks and military.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah. They were
yeah.
basically convinced that there was evidence of
military
military
movements
involvement
there,
there. But this new hole in Nevada,
Yeah.
they kind of said that it had similar properties. Animals wouldn't go near it. It was warm when they approached it.
Yeah.
So there was a heat coming out of it. There was actually evidence that, apparently Mel said that there was a light that came out of his hole. Yeah.
You're wrong, man.
There was a light that shined out of my hole.
Man.
Yeah, so he bent over and looked down the hole, and he said he
The big
saw
light.
a black light that came out of the hole.
Yeah, there's a lot of witnesses from afar as well that said that there was a black light that seemed to come out of this area.
So whether these two holes were connected and had a similar properties, but they were some similarities, if you like, yeah. One of which, like I say, was this heat that came from it. So one of the tests he did was lower ice down the hole, right?
Yeah.
If
leave a bucket of ice up top
on the
and
top as a
take the
control,
bottom one
yeah.
down
So they've
until
got a
the
control
next.
bucket and the bucket that they send down the hole, right? So basically, they wait until the bucket on the top melts, and then they pull the ice back up. If it's the same result, then it's conclusive. It's the same temperature, right? Whereas when they did pull the ice up, they found that it had actually changed,
Yeah.
from an ice which actually still looked like ice, but it had changed into a kind of a coarse, sort of salty substance. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't...
which they found burnt. Yeah, when they set fire to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And it was like a flame. It's not like a flame that stays on. It's like when you start up a flame, and you get that first like flicker, and it's like catching itself on. It seems to be a flame like that as well. It's not. It seems to be able to react itself to turn itself on.
Okay, so this is what they're saying, that this happened to this ice. This ice is suddenly transformed into a flammable substance. Yeah, which one of the guys actually on the camp decided he was going to take a bit of this ice and put it in his stove. Yeah, and they found that it burnt for months. Yeah, but the problem was that the heat that it generated was really dry, so it dried the moisture out in the air. It was like really dry atmosphere in the cabin. All of a sudden, things in the cabin started drying out to a point where they deteriorate really quickly, to the point where the cabin itself structurally fell down, right? Yeah. It was so dry. Yeah. It was the dustiest cabin about, right?
Shack.
Yeah, and it just fell apart. But the fire kept burning. Yeah, in this fire, in this, I don't know what, it must have been sort of like a little log burning stove or something. But whatever it was, it kept burning, right? Yeah. To the point where there was no cabin anymore, but this stove was burning and burning down into the ground, essentially creating
a new one,
a new bottomless pit, right?
Yeah, third fucking hole.
So apparently, this is the story, that it got so deep in the hole, that they had to get a crane to get the fire out. Yeah, the fire.
It's like acid from Aliens.
Yeah, so obviously they could have created another bottomless pit here. Yeah, so they managed to get it out anyway, but it was making everyone think, what the hell is this hole? Yeah, right. So the next experiment was animal trials. It's like, what would happen if we sent, like, I don't know, a sheep down there, or a goat or something like that. So they pick a sheep.
Well, there was two, because the Basque that lived in that area for at least over 200 years as well. And there's a big community of them, and they were helping out as well.
That's right,
and two of them actually volunteered to go down the hole.
But they wouldn't let them.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't,
but what's
to be
the
honest.
next best thing? You know
well,
what I mean?
Exactly. Animal, isn't it? So it's like, well, it's not going to come up with going, I've seen some things down there. Yeah. It's not going to be able to communicate what it saw.
No, but we're going to be able to see if someone survived, in a suit could go down there.
If it comes back up and it's still alive, then quality, we can maybe send someone down there. But when they did pull it up, they found, this is kind of weird, because apparently the sheep had not only died, but kind of transformed.
To put it into the hole, because it was in a cage and it was fighting back. So one of the Basque people would actually had to knock it out so they could actually get it into position to hang it over to actually take it down.
Well, because it was in a cage, when it was going down there. And apparently while it was in the cage, everything seemed fine. But when they brought it back up, it had basically transformed. It not only died, it had kind of developed some sort of like tumour. Yeah. Right? So during an autopsy, they decided that they were going to obviously do an autopsy. They cut it open and they found that the insides were basically one big tumour. Yeah. Right? So they were like, what the fuck? We'll cut this open and see what's inside that.
But the tumour was moving.
Now,
it was slightly.
But
like
do you think if there was some sort of like temperature variation, or if it got to a depth that was so hot that it could essentially cook it or microwave it, if that sheep was pregnant when it went down there,
I think
potentially that was like something that it boiled the fucking offspring to an extent. I don't know.
Because don't forget, you're talking pressure. The further you go down,
I mean, I want to tell the listeners. I mean, about what they say they found, because when they cut this tumor open, it was almost described as a seal fetus.
Yeah, and it opened itself as well.
Right now, this kind of like was kind of looking at them. They were looking at it. They said that they had sort of an awakening, like an epiphany, like some sort of clarity about, like a life-changing experience when they saw this creature. Yeah. And they kept it in a sort of a pen for a couple of days. but it kept getting drawn back to the hole. It wanted to just go back down the hole.
Yeah, because another bass wanted to
you want to
kill
go
it.
in your hole? That's your home. You don't want to go home?
Well, they wanted to. One of them wanted to kill it. They wanted to get rid of it straight away.
I just imagine this little creature like going up to the edge of the hole and then jumping in backwards with flipping the bird.
It's the human eye.
See you later, motherfuckers. like Dr. like Chow in The Hangover.
It seems to be the human eyes thing that
because it seemed to have human eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy story. I mean, at the end of the day,
like a baby seal.
So he's gone back on Art Bell in 2002 and explained all this. Do you know what I mean about his findings and stuff?
And what happened as well, because not long afterwards, he basically he was going round places and he lost 12 days. He didn't know what was going on for 12 days, and then he woke up, found himself in an alley with he's been beaten, the back of his teeth have been like knocked out. He had a few broken ribs and stuff like that. He'd said like he didn't know exactly what had happened. He was just basically walking somewhere, and that's it. He just blanked out.
Right. Okay. So there was a thing saying here about when they were doing the ice experiments.
Yeah.
So obviously this defied the laws of science when they yelled down into the hole. He claimed that there was no echo, and there was also no sound after a large item of trash was thrown down there. So it was a CRT tube television. Which is quite heavy.
Yeah.
You'd expect some sort of
9 feet long. This
some sort of crash or something. Do you know what I mean? Not sure.
Well, it's broke records now anyway. From being the furthest, biggest hole that's ever been made. Because we obviously as humans we've tried it in Coca and it didn't work. We only got 12 feet 8, I think. Not 12 feet 8, 12 miles.
Yeah, I mean, we've done quite a lot of episodes on holes.
And then we couldn't get any further. So what makes this being able to go further? Because it was, 15 miles it ended up being. 800,000 feet in lining.
Yeah.
So that's already broke the record. So that tells me as well, there's nothing that we have apart from that stuff that burns that could do something like that.
Potentially. I mean, that could be a game changer in terms of fuel.
Could it have been an accident?
But the thing is, it might have been the Burke. Is it the Burks? Yeah, they might have said actually that this creature visits them in their dreams. Yeah, and they basically say that we're not ready for this fire. Yeah, right. And this is why, he wanted to get back and take it back down the hole. Yeah. Yeah, because we would destroy ourselves with it. Yeah. Yeah, no because we couldn't handle it. No. The idea of Mels Hole and the bottomless pit has been kind of, an urban legend and been the subject of many conversations and many videos and other content. It's it is a top secret. It was top secret in 2005.
Loads of people are trying to find
but then
now.
Obviously more people have got talking about the legend, and more information's come out. Whether it's kind of been elaborated on, but obviously you can listen to Mel's original broadcasts, which are available on YouTube. If you want to search for Mels Hole Coast to Coast with Art Bell, you will definitely find those. I will also post the transcript of his chats on the website, which I'll pop up this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's an interesting story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of connections that suggest that there is some sort of UFO, alien sort of connection. Because a Facebook poll from the Daily Record asked people whether they believed in Mels Hole. Was it real or not? I'm sure Mel had one.
Sure, yeah.
This was back in 2012, but some people on Reddit shared the possible locations and tried to get a kind of an idea of where it is.
Yeah. It was blanked out on Google Earth at the time as well.
But George Osborne, or Red Elk, as he likes to be known, he's he's basically tried to keep the legend alive. He's claimed to have seen UFOs flying over the pit. He's even suggested it was an underground UFO base.
Well,
so whether it is, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
It questions that, right, if this source can go as deep as it can, then when it reaches the core, you've got all that magma to deal with. How's it going to stop that magma from coming up?
It's all a matter of positioning on the globe, right? So if you're directly going through the center, then you are likely to hit magma or the center of the earth. But if you're drilling off a certain angle, right, then because you've got, as we've discussed in previous episodes, you've got the mantle. Then you've got other, elements. Yeah,
you've got crystallization.
So potentially, if that mantle's 15 miles at least, So what happens if that hole is somewhere between the mantle where you've got no danger of hitting any magma? It's just going through 15 miles of rock. Do you know what I mean? But could potentially come out the other side. It just depends. If you've got a circle and you drill here on the edge, you could go right through the planet and never hit any sort of magma.
Yeah, but it'll collapse. It should collapse on itself,
Well, tell that to the guy who made the Channel Tunnel or any other tunnel.
That's why, a scientist got involved, and he goes, you can't do it because it would, like you were saying on Oak Island, at a certain level, it will collapse in on itself. The surface will push itself.
But this is why they use stuff like caissons and structural sort of aids.
Yeah.
And in Mel's case, I think you mentioned it, where it is brickwork.
Yeah, 15 feet of brickwork, and then it's soil.
And then it's soil after that. So there was some attempt to shore up the well to make it strengthen it, basically.
Well,
whether they could get further down and go any further.
Well, apparently he got to a certain. No, because that just makes it put it as it's a deliberate area. Because why would you build?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. It just doesn't make me think it was a man-made well. Maybe it was that cap or that brickwork was an additional feature.
Or it was a well, but they've changed it, as in they've gone further down.
Maybe it was a well and the water's dried up. Yeah. Maybe that cavern or that space was filled with water right up to the top, but then over time, it's dried out,
blocked up and shit.
It's ended up just being a really deep hole, and has the characteristics of a well, but it's just a
but there
just
doesn't
a hole
seem to
now.
be anything on the sides. You know what I mean? It's not hitting anything on any of the sides. It's going straight down, without any kind of.
I'd love to see.
Obstacle.
There are kind of theories, and a lot of theories point to whether it's a Stargate or a parallel universe,
Captain Bird.
It could be
all in the
It
earth.
could be a UFO base. It could be a number of things. It could could be some sort of barren wasteland where there's a pile of sofas and microwaves and stuff that Mel's thrown down this hole. Just sat there. Yeah, because it's on another world potentially, but we don't know because nobody can go down there.
Yeah, but then you got a question about the one in Nevada where the birds round it. At one point they were shooting the birds.
Oh
and
yeah,
they were bulletproof.
this was after the incident with the seal fetus god thing. Yeah, so they've kind of had all these dreams and stuff, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, there was
it seems to be detecting the hole.
There seemed to be a new species of bird, which no one ever seen in the area before, which were flying around the hole.
Bird, it's an alien.
It was an alien. But the funny thing was, when they tried to shoot at them, it seemed to be immune to bullets.
Yeah.
So that's a bit interesting, is it? Bulletproof birds as well.
Bastard.
Maybe they were drones. Maybe they were sent up by whatever was down there.
Good idea.
Well, go and check what's going on upstairs, will you?
The UFOs are getting too, you're too big now. We were going to have to small you down, you know what I mean? We're going to throw you out.
Well, no, I mean, it's like, that's what you do, don't you, in military? It's like if you need to, gather intelligence or whatever, or if you're, especially in an underground base, what's better than sending up things that kind of look like birds that are not going to draw too much attention, but can spy on you, like a raven would for a wizard.
Well, we're sort of doing that kind of thing on Mars, aren't we? We're trying to find if there's any civilization.
Yeah, by sending drones.
In there,
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Whether you believe Mel's story or not,
Yeah.
sure you find it pretty interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of information out there, but
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know what the government found out in this situation. Do you know?
They ain't gonna tell you.
Of course they're not. But
You'd be the fucking prime minister. Or
were
the
they
fucking
able
king.
to send somebody down? Were they able to do a manned expedition? What did they find?
And what did they do with the findings?
What did they do with the findings? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If you've got anything to add, I'd love to hear from you guys. So rather leave a comment or send us an email at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com. Or hit us up on social media. We'll always respond because we're lovely like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you reckon? I mean, I think it's a pretty interesting story.
I think it goes beyond after a little bit. I mean, after the sheep
starts getting far out once he goes to Nevada.
But it still doesn't mean it's not true.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the guy believed it. I mean, he was so adamant about it. And like you say, where is he now? I'd love to know where Mel is. Mel.
Yeah, he disappeared, didn't he?
The thing is, Mel, if you're the type of guy, I mean, you went on Coast to Coast and you had a story to tell. Yeah. If you want to come on this show, if you're listening,
your story off.
Tell us your story. We want to know what's happened since Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all our listeners would love to hear from you as well.
Yeah.
If you are still about, if you know somebody who knows Mel, get him to get in touch because I'd love to hear what's happened since.
Yeah, because he disappeared, didn't he? After
it's like I go around, I'm a hole specialist now. If you got a hole, I want to see it.
So Art Bell, I think, tried to ring him a few times because he set up a couple of meetings, but then they had to cancel and stuff like that. But
I mean,
Art
Bell was a guy who didn't suffer fools, and I think if he felt that you were trying to yank his chain or wasn't convincing or wasn't being on the level.
Well, he got him on the Bible, didn't he? He asked him for the Bible.
Totally. I mean, this is what I'm saying, So, I mean, he was the type of guy who would always kind of
he'd give you a chance to, explain.
But if he called bullshit, he'd tell you, right? Which is one thing I liked about him.
Yeah.
To have him on 3 times suggests to me that Art Bell was kind of buying what he was selling, and I might be wrong, or he might have just found it entertaining and had good ratings. Who knows? But I mean, the idea being it was an interesting story.
It's a good mystery that it's a continuous story if you think about it.
Yeah, it is, and the fact that he had more to add to it every time he went on the show. But that could also go against him because it's like, well, how do I top it? How do I get better? How do I make this story more amazing every time I go on Art Bell's show?
When he come back from Australia, Art Bell wanted him to come on the show and he arranged it. Then he turned round and cancelled it at the last minute and turned round and said, like, look, there's no point me being on because since I've been living the lifestyle, I've been loving it.
Well, it kind
of
gave him a bit, but then
really
took a lot away, didn't it, really? Yeah.
But
so, I mean, it was a curse as well as a blessing.
Yeah, but then he's gone away.
All that money.
He's gone away, he's lost all that money, he's had some more story, more information on the story, on what's going on. He's done his own thing, so now he can go on the show and give him a bit more info. And then
without fear of being in trouble. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because he's fucked anyway now, you know what I mean? You go against the government and they come at you, it doesn't matter who you are.
Well, it's a great urban legend, and obviously, it'd be interesting to find out more. Well, like I say, that's the topic. So if you've got anything to add or you'd like to discuss it, get in touch.
Jeez.
Well, interestingly, one thing I will say is the whole thing about throwing the rubbish in, and all the rest of it. It reminds me of that Bjork song, Hyper Ballad, where she stood on the edge. Going, I'm throwing cutlery and car parts and bottles or whatever I find lying around. And she just stood there throwing stuff in the hole. Like, that's it, Bjork, that's a day. Yeah. She actually says that it's a habit, it's the way she starts the day. So maybe that's it. It's like Waters there. He was like, just like throwing stuff down the hole. Maybe it was nothing to do. Wow, Google adverts. Gee willikers. So yeah, maybe there's been a lot of adverts coming up on these YouTube videos recently. It's a bit annoying.
Just change the terms and conditions, aren't they?
They just want me to go premium. Yeah. It's not worth it.
They keep fucking throwing it at me, and it's like,
not worth it. You've got nothing to offer.
I'm not even signed up to you. I just use you.
Anyway, well, moving forward with the show,
we
got the news.
Yeah.
Have you heard the news? Well, you're about to. It's the news. Anyone over a certain age might have got that reference. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't. If you did, send a message. Let me know if you got the Have you heard the news reference. I don't know if you know what it is.
There's anyone out there?
Anyone listening? Well, there's a woman in the news that is making headlines. She's making news, man. Right? Yeah. She's got the news. And she's making the news. And she's making predictions.
All right.
Modern day Nostradamus, who uses asparagus.
What?
To predict the future. No joke. How can you use asparagus to predict the future?
You don't know. You know. No.
Well, this woman's making a crack at it, and it's not looking good for the royals.
Oh.
She says.
Well, come on. We all know
a fortune teller who predicts the future using asparagus has revealed her top fortunes and forecasts for 2023.
Okay.
So this is Gemma Parkington, who's 65, who claims to be able to use the divine knowledge of the about the future.
Well, it's God speaking to her on
by tossing spears of asparagus into the air,
right?
And then interpreting
like
how they'll land. So it's not like tea leaves, I suppose, or like with bones, like the old
or shapes or something.
Shamans and stuff. Over the years, she's correctly predicted major events such as Brexit, Harry and Meghan stepping down as members of the royal family.
All right.
And she's several predictions for 2022 that came true, such as Croatia winning the World Cup, Boris Johnson clinging on as Prime Minister, and had success in loads of other ways as well. So
Croatia did win the World Cup. You mean they got further? They got further along there.
Well, that's what they're saying. She's had several predictions for 2022, such as Croatia winning the World Cup. So she predicted it. Didn't happen, I don't think.
No.
Well, no, it didn't.
It's Argentina.
Yeah. Well, this year she's predicted the Lionesses.
Yeah.
Will continue on form to the Euro 20 as they did in Euro 22.
Yeah.
By winning and bringing home the Women's World Cup.
Good.
So she's got that prediction.
We can't do it, so we might as well let the women do it.
She's also said there will be a health scare for Princess Anne.
Oh. Which she had a couple. She has had a couple over the years.
Which comes just a few months after she predicted the Queen's death. So apparently she predicted the Queen's death using asparagus.
Well, Prince Anne is going to be a bit upset, and it's going to upset.
Well, she's
her.
Getting older as well. Prince Anne. How old's Prince Anne now?
God. Jesus, she must be in her 80s.
Well, I think it's a great, skill if you can predict, the future using fruit and veg.
Well, yeah, if you could do it, if you could do it with tea leaves, a bone.
I'm wondering what she can do with a couple of cucumbers.
Oh, yeah, if you
want to come on the show, Gemma, and tell us about your amazing abilities, we'd love to have you on the show. And predict the future for the show.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't see good things. No. Well, have you got any news that you want to talk about?
Actually, a bit of news for Britain. Like, it looks like
Royal Britannia.
Well, it looks like we may lose our post offices.
Well, I'm not being funny. Yeah, well,
no, because they're going to bankrupt themselves.
We need the post office.
Yeah,
to be fair, the post office does serve a vital kind of role. I know that these UPS and all these other FedEx and stuff that can do the job, but having the Royal Mail is kind of like something that we generally do need. I think it's like the idea that they turned around and said that when the Queen passed away, and they were going, we're going to have to redo all this stamps and we're going to have to redo all the post boxes.
Yes.
Actually occurred to me the other day that the seal and any of that information is only on the door of a post box.
Yes.
Right? So you don't actually have to replace the post box itself.
No, just
the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, which actually would bring the cost down of replacing every post box in the UK.
Yeah.
Which is one thing they can, be like, wow, we don't have to spend all that money.
Yeah.
But, I keep seeing like all these commemorative coins that they keep producing, which means that they have done a deal with Warner Brothers. They've done a deal with for Harry Potter. They've done a deal with Disney for Star Wars or fucking Avengers. Yeah. Whenever they do a commemorative 50p, they're taking, I'm assuming, being, sponsored by these companies to create marketing tool. It's a marketing tool. They want
yours and my
put
money.
the Avengers name out there, get the Harry Potter name out there. So Warner Brothers will go, Royal Mint, do you want to do a deal with us where you can create? I don't know how it potentially works, but I'm assuming that they would be paid.
Basically, the taxpayers pay them, and they keep profits.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So how can they claim poverty when?
Well, because of what they're about to do.
A first-class stamp is a pound.
I know.
And then they tell me that my envelope's too heavy and I need another one. So,
God, you need your stamp. It's a racket, innit? Well, basically, what it is to do with their vans that they drive around in. Right, now, they've got vans now that will cost them $9,000 over their
is this to do with going eco-friendly and going electric?
And these other vans are cost from 20 to 50 grand. Now, every year on the cheapest one, every 4 years they've got to go and get the battery changed. On the cheapest one, it's $5,000. On the middle one, it's 12 grand, and on the dearer one, it's like 20 grand. And they've only done. They brought in 3 last year. They brought in 3,000 this year. They have 41,000 in their fleet, and it will turn up that the amount of money that they will need to deal with it will make them go bankrupt. 285 million per year.
Well, at the end of the day, they are a institution. If the government's willing to bail out some of the fucking companies that they have bailed out,
it come back to us.
Do you know? Well, it's funny because it's like when you will have companies,
even though we're paying already,
have got nothing to do with the running of the country, but yet the government will step in and go, oh, we'll give you a bailout.
Yeah.
Where the Royal Mail of the NHS, it's like they're not prepared to put their hand in the pocket for it. It mind boggles.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Like with the NHS, there's loads of other problems against it as well. I mean, the amount of money that it costs to build it, and then the amount of money it costs to fix something, it's like 3 times the amount that it should be already. And don't forget, year upon year, we're giving them billions of pounds. Where's this money going?
What do you mean, to the NHS?
Yeah. Well, where's this money going?
Think about
to the private sector, because they've had to bring in private sector.
At the end of the day,
no, but it's growing.
You underestimate the running costs of something like a hospital. I mean, if you think about just like how much a plaster costs or bandages or anything like that, where they have to put bulk orders in, then. And that's stretched over however many hospitals there are in the country.
But then they've got...
So they have this pot of money, but then they're allocating it to individual hospitals.
Yeah.
Then they have to break that down into staffing, your facilities, getting, porters, surgeons. You've got all these different aspects of running a hospital. They're just your pays and your salaries. Then you've got specialists.
And pills are all going up, the
as
medication.
Well as people they have to bring in as consultants.
Yeah.
Then you've got your general kind of inventory. So you've got your kind of your slings and your bandages and your everything like that.
They've basically done deal after shit
deal.
Then
you've got cleaning supplies as well as your cleaners. You've got to pay them.
Yeah.
There's such an amazing amount of people who go into the production of a hospital, the running of a hospital, that it's not that the money that they're given isn't going into the hospital. It's just not enough. And the fact that, when we're praising the nursing staff, I've said this before, we were all at our back doors, banging pots and pans, cheering them on. They were doing an amazing job, and they were called frontline workers.
Yeah.
Right? And then the government has the audacity to turn around and say, well, we'd rather put this money into frontline NHS, than give you a pay rise.
But
then that's not kind of you kind of fucking contradicting yourself, because you on one hand saying that they are frontline, and that they deserve our applause and our admiration and they're real heroes, but when it comes to putting your hand in your pocket, you're not prepared to acknowledge that they are actually frontline workers anymore.
But the thing comes down to the management, actually, because the last lot of money that they were given, do you know what they did with it? He
blew
went
it all
out
on drugs
No.
and alcohol.
Instead
Go on,
of
what
sorting
did he
it
do?
out
What did he do with it?
inside, sorting out like the nurses out and sorting out, making more beds and all that shit, and getting rid of all the the stuff.
I can't
They
believe
went,
that you are kind of like,
No,
saying, the government have given money, they should have spent it a lot better.
No, it's the way they're spending the money. It's not actually. It's not going to the right places. It's not going to the nurses. It's not going to actually dealing with the situations and the contracts that they've had.
Across is that the government are right. You've just said something there that, like, I feel like the way you've put that across is that you are blaming the hospitals for not spending their money right.
The management.
Well, no, because again, it comes down to the government who budget that money and break it down and then give you an allowance.
Yeah, but if I give you a billion every year, right, for the next 5 years, right, that extra billion on top of the money that you already got, you should use that money to sort out all the problems you've already got, instead of using that money and going, right, let's build like little centres outside in different areas, so like, which are only open till certain hours of the day, to try and stop the queues coming into the hospitals, when the actual people need to get into the hospitals, not the little places.
But I mean, the fact is, for majority of cases that people go to A&E and the hospital for, could be treated at drop-in centres. The fact is that people would rather just go, I'm ill, I've got to go hospital, than use the fucking brain and say, oh, well, I could probably go to the chemist or the drop-in centre and be seen, or ring 101 and get kind of some information over the phone, rather than clog up an already fucking, let's face it...
It's the clog up we need to get rid of,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Back.
So you kind of, you eliminate all those kind of petty cases that are going into A&E by creating drop-in centres and places that they can go, which isn't going to be making you wait time to see a triage nurse for fucking 8 hours or longer, or you've got to sit in an ambulance waiting in a car park, because you've got 50% less footfall coming through your door because they can go to a drop-in centre. And I think that's what they're trying to encourage, that if you've got a minor ailment or, an ingrowing toenail or something daft, that you don't stumble down to A&E and try and get your help there, because the rover capacity, and the idea is, I think it was a valid idea that if they were going to spend this money on these type of places, it was going to have a knock-on effect in the A&Es and in the actual hospital. And it'd have to be
valuable for money as well.
But
not
again,
the contracts
I think it's just the case that people automatically are kind of like, it's been instilled in their brains since birth that you're in trouble, you have an accident, you go to the hospital. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Don't go to the doctors, because he's just going to say, go to A&E.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but there are places, like I say, so I mean, it is a debate. But
it's
what
the backlog that needs sorting out.
I think it's your treasurer, when they're kind of breaking that money down and saying, okay, so we've got X amount of billion to give to NHS this year, right? So how many hospitals we've got? I don't know exactly, but say we've got 80 hospitals throughout the UK. We need to distribute this money. We've got some hospitals that are way more over capacity and taking a lot more patients, so they get more money. And it's about divvying it up. But the problem is that the patient, the hospital staff are so overworked with everything that's gone on over the last couple of years.
Because we haven't been investing in nursing and doctors for years.
But that's what I'm getting at. And the fact is that I'm totally on board with their striking problem. Because, well, this is the thing, and I think Jonathan Pye was saying, in terms of the strike action, that the media and the government will paint your bus drivers, your nurses, your postmen as the bad guy for striking, and the trains are not running, so it's causing you problems. But
that's there for a reason, so you complain to the
because
government.
They've been forced, their hands have been forced. So totally. Well, moving on anyway, have you got anything else you'd like to talk about? Prince Harry has been in the news recently.
Oh, yeah, has he?
Now, Prince Harry, to me, I've always saw him as kind of like, the normal lad out of the royal family. I thought he was kind of like the most down-to-earth out of the group.
I thought he was the quiet one out of the lot.
Well, he was quiet, but I mean, he was incidents.
Apart from when he got into his Nazi universe and took drugs and
Nazi
shit.
uniform and stuff like that. But his book's leaked, and there's plenty of kind of juicy stuff in there. Not only about
Say it
drugs, he reckons he tried cocaine first on a hunting party.
Yeah, that's right.
At the age of 17.
Yeah, lost his virginity at 17.
Well, to an older woman in a hayfield, apparently. Yeah. But one of the most shocking things that I felt like was leaked was his admission to killing 25 Afghanistan.
If he said enemy, fair enough.
Well,
but then he named the enemy.
Yeah. So he said he's killed. I heard he even got 25 kills. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So the MOD are like, what?
Well, no, because I think people are kind of like feel like that he's disrespecting like the military in that respect.
You think he's in blemish in certain?
He might have been because I mean, obviously,
I don't
feel like the royal family
ever served
fully in battle. But I mean, he was out there in Afghanistan. And
he left him when they went to the funeral as well. He left him to go on his own.
So I feel like, by giving a body count, that might be a bit too much. I think I think most soldiers would say that that's not the sort of thing that you talk about. Do you know
I kind of think he's more like Diana than the other one, to be honest. I think he's more.
I was going to say a bit thick.
No, I think he likes to push the boundaries. He likes to do what he wants to do, push the boundaries. Let's see what it's time we the family.
Well, he said something that kind of made.
Well, no,
but this is a thing because he says his family motto is never complain, never explain.
Yeah,
yeah, and the idea behind that is like I can see it. Yeah. They never really kind of like pipe up an opinion about things. Yeah. They don't complain about things, but they'd never explain what they're doing. Yeah.
Not to our faces.
No, at all. Yeah. It's like, look at what's going on with Harry.
Oh, come on. Letters from Prince
all the allegations that are coming out, royal family said nothing. Yeah. They feel like, it's probably kind of going to blow over.
They're going to have to at one point.
Well, I mean, I felt that was a bit tight as well because he basically said that it was at his brother's wedding.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He was asked to be best man, but not really. He was supposed to be seen as the best man to draw attention away from his real best man, who was one of his long-term friends.
Didn't want pressing that all over him. And
so...
So he's thinking like his mother.
I feel like that's a bit tight on his brother, though, because, I mean, at the end of the day, what brother wouldn't want to be his best man for his brother? Yeah,
these two need to clap their heads together.
The idea that,
really do.
Well, as far as the book was concerned, they have come to some blows. I mean, I don't know how true it is or what, but the fact that he's coming out and, saying all this in his book is quite revealing.
So if you
probably going to be a bestseller.
Oh yeah, it's already in the best-selling.
It's not even come out yet. Now the way I understand it, because I used to work in a bookshop, so and we had this when the Harry Potter books were coming out. So there's a thing called an embargo, right? Yeah. So the books had come in. The books had come in, like before the release date, because we'd have to have them in the store.
Yeah. Stock before it goes out.
Release date. Yeah. So we'd have to get prepared for the midnight, opening to sell the rush. Yeah, exactly. All the kids
Black
queuing
Friday. Come on.
I want to know what happened to Gandalf. Oh, what was he called? That was Gandalf's Lord of the Rings, isn't he? He's Dumbledore. Yeah,
he's dead as well,
or whatever. So we'd be like that. He dies in this one. But anyway,
they all do.
We'd have the book a couple of days early, before the release date, and but the law.
Did you read it?
You're not allowed. Basically, the pallet remains shrink wrapped. Yeah.
Oh, so you could get it.
You're not allowed
you never
to
read
touch
it.
the book. Yeah, but until the day of release or the day before release, when you're allowed to security tag them and get them ready for being put on the shelves. Right.
Or the manager says.
But, obviously, we did have to do that a couple of days in advance because we had so many of them. Right?
Yeah.
I can imagine that Harry's book had a release date of Tuesday, I think, which would be the 10th.
Right.
Yeah, 10th of January in the UK and America, whereas it was actually released early in Spain because there was a bit of an error in the release date. Yeah, so they ended up releasing it a week early.
Yes.
Yeah. which meant that anybody who could translate Spanish.
Yeah, you can download it now and
Could
stuff.
could get the book and kind of leak the information.
Papers were right on it.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think. Do you think that he's right to be doing all this media? I think considering the way his mum passed away and he wanted to get away from the media spotlight by moving to the States. Yeah. He's done a lot of media.
And
he's wrote a book. He's got a Netflix.
Is Prince Charles his really dad? King Charles, sorry.
Oh, well, is there a DNA test? I don't know.
Well, I think they had that. Because someone...
I mean, he does look like his dad, and I don't mean Prince Charles.
Yeah.
So, you know...
King Charles.
King Charles. Charles.
I think he's been, like, snubbed on the side, but I think he's been trying to cover his wife, but then he's in a predicament of, family and
like
his
I say,
missus,
I mean, the idea of, like, him being a spare... must be like, well, that's kind of like, it must be heartbreaking.
Stay in the background until you're needed.
And I think, like, I seen an interview where
what a king
it was
he'd be,
talking
though.
about Diana and how Diana wanted William and Harry to be, good mates, like be there.
Better together than apart.
And the idea that if he was going to be king, that Harry would be there and advise him and be somebody he can lean on rather than be somebody be an enemy.
Yeah.
And this is how he's described William
in
the book,
basically.
as an enemy. He said he was his brother and his enemy, his arch enemy, which is a pretty strong word.
Sad, man.
Well. Anyway, moving on.
Well, they sort it out anyway.
We've got some more news to cover, I
Queenie
think.
should have sorted that out before she went.
Well, she probably tried.
Yeah, Google.
Go on, what's happening with Google?
Oh, well, it's little box Siri, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, now it's been proven...
she is listening.
No, hackers... There is a back door for hackers to come in and listen to all your conversations.
There you go. You see, this is why I don't have one of them Alexas or Siris or anything like that. I try not to. And I have one on my laptop, but I deactivate it because I just feel like it's an invasion of privacy.
Same me. Yeah.
And they glitch all the time. I've heard some really weird sort of videos where, like, it says, if you Google search or YouTube search, like Siri says some weird stuff, it'll bring up loads of videos.
Yeah. Get off your ass, use your fingers, you know what I mean?
Honestly,
your body parts are there to be moved, not to fucking just stay there.
And to be honest, every time I ask when I'm around at friends and they've got one or when I've ever used one, I always go, can you think in it? It'll just go, oh, I don't know about that, but here's what I found on my web. And he's like, I could have done that myself.
Exactly.
To be honest.
Exactly. Use your intelligence, use your brain. It's there
I understand
for a reason.
that these sort of, AI assistants are going to be more advanced as the time progresses.
It's great for assistance, but it doesn't have to be assisting everyone everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think we've done some kind of weird experiments. But I will say, if you do go to Alexa and say, Alexa, play the Never a Straight Answer podcast, you will get us. That's amazing. So do that.
You will.
If that's the only good, worthwhile thing that an Alexa
Nothing
can do.
else is worth it on there, to be honest.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I've seen it all.
So Google are having a lot of trouble. I think Android phones generally, Google have just lost a deal with the satellite phone companies. The people who own the satellites that basically give you a better service have pulled out from a major Android. I think it is Google. So to go with another company, which means people who have Google phones potentially could have
issues,
what they call not spots. Where you used to get signal, but now because of the satellite coverage isn't as good, that you'll get a dropout.
Less satellites, mate. You know what I mean? You're getting poorer.
Loads of satellites. Going to Elon. Elon's puts up 40 a week.
Yeah, exactly. He's just put another couple of.
Well, we'll be going into that in NASA News.
We will. Talking to Eli.
Eli, Book of Elon.
Oh yeah. Twitter. Oh, there's been some shit coming out of there the last couple of weeks.
Say, and I did tweet this, you don't, just because you own something doesn't mean you have to be the boss of something,
Well, that's why I tweeted out, should I leave?
It's like, thinking about it, you've got Twitter meetings and you sat there going, oh shit, SpaceX, oh shit, fucking this, Tesla, oh mate.
That's why Tesla's gone down.
That's what I'm saying, you've got other stuff going on. So what you do is you hire a CEO who just has nothing but Twitter to concentrate on.
The beast.
Do it how you want to do it and have meetings with him, but ultimately let him run it.
Well, basically, that's what he should be.
So I tweeted Elon Musk and I said, heart to heart. I said, me and Elon, we have a couple of chats every now and again. And I said to him over Twitter, I said, Elon, I said, just because you own it doesn't mean you have to run it. And let's face it, you've got other more important things going on.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So you concentrate on that.
Yeah.
And, let the social media moguls be moguls.
Well, yeah, but I think he's done the right thing. He's come in and he's clearing it out before he goes out. You know what I mean? He's clearing it up and then going to go, manager, you go and manage it. UBC, whenever, need a little info or if I want any info, come and see me. Because apparently up to 30 spies and ex-FBI agents have been working in the complaints area and, putting what should go out and what should stay in.
See, this is kind of getting to like personal ethics, and it's like with the PayPal thing that happened recently, where they were saying, "Oh, if you do something that goes against our guidelines or our company morals, then you can pay for it." But it's like when it's people moderating and it's just down to their personal opinion, where it's like, oh, I think that's kind of rude or offensive. That they were able to ban you.
Governments do it to hurt us and to stop us doing stupid things and like to rich their pockets. Companies shouldn't be able to do that kind of stuff.
Well, this is the thing, and this is the problem with
companies are becoming governments.
Companies are getting bigger than governments, and it's getting to the point where
they're running the show
where
now.
Fucking literally, Elon Musk's got more money than most small countries.
He's seventh.
You know what I'm saying?
Now.
So it is a case of that. So,
but they also come out with the Russian collusion when everyone was saying about Trump, even though he went to court and found there was nothing there. The FBI, the CIA, and Hillary Clinton was still pushing the mark, and he's got all the evidence there to show that.
You see, this is the
they were
thing.
Controlling
it's
it.
like, do you know what? Right,
and it's on every other device.
Listen,
no wonder.
Right, have you not any idea why all these sort of like conspiracy theories and sort of allegations come out around about the same time? Usually in an election year. Right, yeah. I've not heard any sort of crazy fucking allegations about anyone recently because there's not an election happening, just yet. So, but as soon as the race is on, it's all he eats babies and he does this and he shoots that and he does that and he's colluding with the Russians, and it's like, well, of course. I mean, they both do it. It's tit for tat and it's ridiculous, and that is not politics.
But the difference was that Hillary Clinton used the government facilities and information to actually go against a single person or persons when she had no legal or authority to do that.
I've only got one thing to say about this. Trump sucks. Hillary sucks.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Right, anyway, They've
got to suck something.
They've got to suck each other. I've got this story here. I mean, these drugs get into prison all the time.
Easy.
Yeah, right. People mule it in, stick it up
the bum.
In the old prison wallet.
Yeah.
And there's many ways that, in a cake, get a file in. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
What would you think the most inventive way of getting drugs into a prison would be?
Drugs into a prison in a mobile phone.
Good call.
Yeah.
What else?
In some cigarettes.
I've heard people droning, like putting packages under drones and flying them over the wall.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard people throwing...
They've done it in Manchester, actually.
Yeah, I know, I was about to say, they've done drones in Manchester. I've heard about, like, frisbees getting thrown over with stuff sellotaped to it. This I've never heard this one before. This one's a brilliant bit of ingenuity. Pigeons fitted with crystal meth backpacks.
Oh, mate.
Well, this
training pigeons,
right, and then fitting them with backpacks.
That's good.
Right, one of them's been caught inside a prison yard. Right.
Oh shit.
Like, I took a wrong turn in Albuquerque.
Shit. So now they're going to have a predatory bird to stop the birds being around there or coming into the
I never
area.
thought of it like that, actually. Like, so they'll have a hawk just sitting on the fucking... on the turret.
You're finding quite a few towns and cities that they have some kind of predator species there to actually try and get rid of, when places where there are a lot of pigeons and that. So it's one way of trying to scare them off and getting away from the area. because they're just going to keep coming and coming and coming. You know what I mean?
Well, there's been loads of kind of incidents like this with pigeons. So apparently, an earlier century ago, a pigeon breeder approached federal custom officers with a bit of an odd problem, right? A pigeon he'd recently sold to a buyer in Mexico, had flown back home. Yeah, so like he'd sold it, but it was a trained pigeon. Yeah. So homing pigeons notoriously want to just go back to where they want to be. Yeah. So he'd sold this pigeon to a buyer in Mexico, and it had flown back to his home in Texas with 2 aluminium capsules of cocaine attached to its leg.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So after a brief investigation, officers announced their conclusion that the carrier pigeons were smuggling drugs over the border. So, you know, they are used. I mean, drug smuggling pigeons are pretty much like pretty old school. Do you know what I mean?
I'm surprised they haven't used catapults yet.
Catapults? Yeah. What, like flaming catapults?
Yeah, you don't have to flame them. You know, big parcel. Hey, catch this.
It's a bit obvious, though, isn't it? And it's like whether you...
Yeah, but it's getting more and more.
It's like the problem about these things. It's like if you've got a drone, you can kind of direct it towards the cell that you need to get it to. But yeah. Like when it's just slinging something over a wall into a yard, who knows who the fuck's gonna pick it up?
You got to be a good shot, haven't you? Make sure they're there when it goes over.
You make sure they're there. What do you do? Have a whistle?
Oh, you phone him
on your mobile phone.
Yeah. I'm just gonna throw it
on
over
your
now.
illegal bum mobile phone.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Well, there you go. Smuggling carrier pigeons. I like that. I mean, that's quite old school, but like
it's quite inventive
with a new inventive
old
way.
school.
But I love
should
the
always
idea
think
that,
of the old
school.
School.
Like some little fashionista was there sewing up little pigeon backpacks. Yes, we want them to be functional as well as stylish.
Here's $1,000 for you. Here's $1,000 for you.
That's how they made them fucking fly so far, because they were like giving them a bit of coke.
Yeah, just a little coke. Yeah, made them sniff it.
Yeah, well, we've got plenty to stories. I found this story, which is interesting. Obviously, the Nazis during World War II had a lot of Nazi gold.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Nazi treasures, stuff they'd smuggled and hidden away.
Still hidden all over the world?
Well, this is a story about a map that's been found that's spurred a big treasure hunt in the Netherlands. I love a good treasure hunt. Okay. So this is in the Netherlands on the 6th of January, which was 2 days ago. Basically found an old map believed to mark a spot where German soldiers had hid treasure worth millions.
Okay. Well, it might cost billions.
Same worth millions of euros, but obviously euros weren't around in World War II.
Yeah, so
it would have been Deutschmarks.
Deutschmarks, yeah. Millions,
maybe
millions of
Deutschmarks. We Deutsche Markies from World War II. Sparking the imaginations of amateur treasure hunters in the Netherlands. They've gone out with metal detectors and shovels trying to find it.
Should have found it by now if they've got a map.
If they've got a map, yeah. But after the map was made public by the Dutch National Archives...
Not allowed in the area.
Loads of people have basically started getting on it.
Oh, shit.
The archive says that the map is believed to indicate where Nazi soldiers had hidden 4 large boxes filled with diamonds, rubies, gold, silver and all sorts of jewellery.
Shit, so the government are going to be jumping all over that?
They probably already dug it up.
Yeah,
they were like, if a map's in an archive, right, that means that treasure was dug up ages ago and the map got archived.
Hey, sometimes you find the treasure, you know what I mean? Sometimes they we ain't got time for doing that. We'll do that later on.
Hey, you guys go and look for the treasure. I'm going to smoke a joint and maybe just look at my treasure here, you know.
Hey, if they haven't found it by the time we get over there, I'm fucking looking.
Oh, yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, we'll have to have a look, try and find out where it is. We'll take a shovel.
Yeah, take a bucket and spade. Yeah, we'll be right.
Yeah, well, it's, what's it? I think like the research files were held for a while, for 75 years.
Fucking hell.
But obviously, so you're telling me in 75 years of this map being in the possession of an archivist, that nobody's looked at it and thought, I wonder if, especially that it indicates that there's 4 boxes of golden treasure.
You reckon someone's already been there and just put out the map again?
Totally. They used the map.
That's a good idea,
the map's
actually.
got no use anymore, so they're not going to frame it and go, look, this is when I would.
No, you leave a letter, don't you? Suckers.
I'd frame it and put it on the wall and go, this is the map that I used to find all my wealth.
I'm not telling anyone that I've got it.
I won't put it back in archives, maybe, but whatever. The fact that it was in archives in the first place makes me wonder why no one discovered this treasure sooner.
You know what, over the last couple of weeks I was thinking, Should I go into it and try and find something in the archives that that's disappeared, or something that's
that no one's ever seen before.
No one's been looking for or anything like that, just to see if there's anything around.
We'll have a look for it when we go Amsterdam next.
Yeah.
We're talking about things that people have lost.
Yeah.
This is a story about Yellowstone Park.
Lost his stone?
Well, no, someone's lost a foot. Yeah, because a foot has been found in Yellowstone Hot Pool.
Well,
yeah, which is a hot spring in the Yellowstone Park. But like they still don't know who it belongs to.
I think it's piranhas or a shark.
A missing man whose foot was found floating in Yellowstone Hot Pool had no suicide note in his car, although investigators had found a laptop computer and a notebook and a handwritten poem, according to the park services. The law enforcement have investigated the documents and they believed that it was
suicide.
Potentially, but the fact that they just found his foot
and nothing else.
Yeah.
Was it teared off?
It was still in his shoe.
No, I mean the other end. I mean, was it ripped off or was it just fell off?
The foot was still in his shoe, right? Yeah.
So it happened quick then?
Well, yeah, it was rather torn off.
I'm telling you, it's a shark.
Something's really fucking ripped his leg off and it ripped his foot off. But, I mean, the idea that it was found floating in this pond.
You know what? I'd have to go with bear.
I would say
I would have to say bear.
Or some sort of cat.
Or it's actually something a bit...
A yeti, a big foot.
Yes, aliens. They left the foot, didn't like it, it had water on it.
Yeah, well, he's saying he's no clues on how to... he was called Hun Rose. He was age 70.
Right.
From Los Angeles. There was no idea how he died, but Yellowstone officials have basically put out an investigation.
So then there's that highly likelihood it wasn't suicide.
Well, listen to this, more than 20 people have been killed by Yellowstone geothermic pools.
Yeah, but
so
not just left
rip his
leg.
foot off.
And still be lying in the water.
I mean, but how have 20 people died? Is it because they've been pulled under by a current?
Oh, they'd be dickheads and leaning over it and going, "Oh, it's gonna come out in a minute."
I think people swim in it. I think people get in some of these hot pools.
I think people dickheads who do that.
No, because it's supposed to be like therapeutic and mineralized. It's got minerals in it and stuff, and it's supposed to be good for
boiling,
you.
No, you know what I mean?
But I don't know.
Sulfur in there and
have you ever? Any of our listeners ever bathed in one of these hot pools? Let us know.
No, because you get chucked out of them. You get thrown out, won't you?
Well, they're geezers.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking wrong thing.
Yeah, hot pools and geezers are different, but I think they are kind of very similar. The geothermic pools of water, which mean they are hot, like hot springs. These places in Alaska where you get hot springs, I think, where the locals they chill out in the snow.
Yeah.
But it's in a hot pool of water and it's proper refreshing.
Yeah, so, that's purposely been built though for safety as well and like the purity of the water. But
well, I've got this kind of linking story, and this could be the answer actually, because former Colorado funeral home owner has been sentenced for 20 years for selling body parts.
Oh, dirty bastard!
Do you know what I mean? It's
dirty bastard.
Got an eye? You want a leg? I gotta give you two. I've got buy one get one free on all limbs.
Not that long ago, I think. About 5-7 years ago, I remember a couple of guys in funeral homes in America, and they were selling like 80 grand for like just
a liver.
No, just for a piece of vein, big vein.
What?
Just for a big piece of vein. And
I can imagine for medical, for transplants and people waiting on waiting lists and stuff.
Yeah,
that's why you'd make sales, but. To just sell a big vein.
Yeah.
Like, I got a big vein, I got a fucking testicle.
He had bodies
what
in the back,
to the other testicle? It was there was a guy who just wanted one.
It was Hitler, sorry mate. He only had one.
The idea of doing that, it's a bit Burke and Hare, isn't it?
Yeah,
have we ever done Burke and Hare as a topic?
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have we? It's actually a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, we might have to do that.
So the idea of selling bodies for medical research, I think it's a bit disturbing, but is it because hospitals do it? You sign a consent form, fair enough, but by getting personal gain out of it, that's the difference,
that's the thing. I mean, would you on your demise leave anything to science?
It depends, because I'd like to think that if it helped somebody live, then yeah. But like, you know, I wouldn't want to feel like I was mutilated to the extent that, you know, that they took it all.
Yeah, you look like a
bat.
You look like roadkill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those where it's like, to be honest, yeah, I wouldn't mind, because if I can give somebody else the chance to survive, then, you know, and if, you know, the organ they need's perfectly fine, then why not?
Yeah.
I'm not going to miss it. But, like, there's so many stories about people who've had transplants and then start kind of, like, having the memories of the other person. I'd just do that. I'd just be so influential in them, in the life, that they'll be like, oh, mate. I'm your
ghost on your shoulder.
Yeah,
I'm your devil and your fucking
like,
angel, mate.
That liver. Oh, it's always getting me into trouble.
Yeah, go for it. Have another drink. Go on.
Yeah,
smoke that.
Smoke that weed. Go for
man.
it. Have another bong.
Yeah, you don't need got work today. Nah, forget about it, mate.
That's not me. It's not me in the slightest.
No, it's your devil on the shoulder.
Go on, have we got some more news? Because we're running out of time. We've got to get some NASA news.
Yeah, I've got a small one. TV ratings are massively down.
For what?
Massively down on watchability.
Well,
people are not watching it no more.
Well, they should put some good shit on then, shouldn't they?
Yeah, instead of repeats.
You see, this is my problem at the moment.
Talking bullshit.
Right. There's not very much on, like, your normal terrestrial channels, yeah?
It's all the Netflix and...
Well, no, because
Prime
Netflix, right? Netflix and Disney Plus are doing something at the moment that I'm not sure I agree with, yeah? They're serialising their shows. Yeah, they're putting it on weekly, right? Which means they're reverting back to a broadcast system formula, yeah?
What's going on in
where
Hollywood, man?
It's like, oh, no, we will... Because they've realised, instead of dropping a popular series all at once where you can just sign up for a month, watch it, and then not
fuck off.
Yeah. If they spread it out over the weeks,
because they want your money, that's all they want.
You've got to carry on your subscription. So you try, you know, it is one of those. What you do is you wait until it's all dropped at the end of that period, then sign up for a month, watch it all, and cancel it.
Or even better, collect a bunch of them within 1 month.
Actually, talking about Netflix and stuff like that, I'm amazed at how many people sign up to these things and then just don't know how to cancel it, but never actually use it. And with it being January, this
Save
is
your pennies, man.
Well, no, it kind of reminds me of people with the gym. Yeah. One big thing to do in January is to get healthy and have a resolution and all the rest of it.
Resolution is be
dry January
healthy.
And be healthy and all that shit. Yeah.
I'll be a good man.
How many people sign up to gym memberships in January, go once, and then don't go again?
Yeah, it was knackering, man. I can't do that again. It's killing me. Got work tomorrow.
Think on, people. Think on.
Yeah, you don't need to sign out to gyms. Anyway, you can do the shit at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are different ways of doing stuff.
There are different ways of doing stuff. Yeah. And I've got this news story here about bees.
Oh, bees. All right.
You see, bees, right? It has been learned that they like to roll little wooden balls around.
Oh, the football fanatics, are they?
For fun.
Ah.
Yeah, it's a form of play, and they've been doing studies on it, and they think it's... They've got strong indication that insects' minds are far more, complex than we might imagine.
Yeah, come on. I mean,
I think we're just arrogant to think
I
that
totally
they don't
agree.
think and have sort of sentient thoughts.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And a cow doesn't just think of food, shitting, and fucking
right,
eating.
Look, I think, therefore I am. Yeah, right. If a cow thinks about being hungry, then it thinks, therefore it exists, therefore it has an intelligence.
Funny enough, actually, I was listening on Radio 4 about a woman who they called the cow woman, because she's so in tune with how a cow would feel. She's got a little bit of I can't even say it.
Asperger's.
Yeah. And she feels it more, and she actually goes on farms and stuff like that and goes like, this is how... Not to scare him, like shadows come up at like 7 o'clock at night, and it scares the cow, so it won't go in that area. And so to get him to get in that area, you get rid of that shadow, you know what I mean? And like slippery stuff. Yeah. And she's really, really good, to be honest. Really is.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, are we moving on? Have you got anything else to add?
No, just space.
Just space stuff. Well, I've got some Kanye West news.
Oh,
not as much as recent weeks.
What's he not been up to this week?
He's gone missing.
Hey?
He's disappeared. Kanye West has allegedly gone missing.
CIA did it.
But this is this has sparked some wild conspiracy theories. Kanye West allegedly missing, and new twist in the story is that fans are wondering whether the Illuminati is behind it.
I hope he's in hospital. Why?
What, getting some help?
Yeah, getting something sorted out, man. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, because he's obviously distressed over. Don't forget, he's been divorced. He lost his mum a couple of years ago, and he's like, you know what I mean? He's trying to get into politics, and look at all the shit back that he's had over the years as well.
Well,
I mean,
he's said a lot of crazy shit recently.
Yeah.
Adidas, are trying the hardest to try and get rid of all of his Yeezys.
Oh,
They've got a backlog of Yeezys that now they can't sell. They're trying to they're dropping the price on them.
I'll
like
buy them for
crazy.
a penny a piece.
So I don't know how much they're worth.
Penny a piece, I'll buy them. Buy them all.
Well, there you go. So yeah, Kanye West he's gone missing. If anyone has seen him,
aliens, mate.
If the Illuminati have actually taken him, thank you. Keep hold.
Yeah, and you just thinking,
like Glenn
not
Miller.
that long since JFK. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah, it's like that. What's it? Isn't it? In Red Dwarf, where he's like, that's what they do. They take them and then they try and bring them back.
Yeah.
It's like, take him away. We don't want him.
That's the wrong one. We wanted the one next to him.
So there you go. There's your Kanye news this week. Not very much of it, but people trying to back out of deals as well as try and work out where he's gone.
Yeah, he might end up at your doorstep and he rings up.
If you do see Kanye West out in the wild, don't try and approach him. Don't be a hero.
No. Yeah. Don't call the police. Just let him be.
Just let him be. Let him wander through the wild and the wilderness like he should.
Just take a picture and go, right, there he is.
It's like the Yeti. He's like a Bigfoot.
He's
elusive.
Yeah, he's gone camping. That's what he's doing. He's letting his hair down.
Well,
getting a spliff on.
Going to NASA news.
Yeah.
UFO sightings on the up.
Oh, yes.
Despite official reports. But yeah, it seems that UFO sightings are on the increase.
Good.
UFO sightings in Maine have been record with official reports saying, according to UFO author and experts Norma Slovak, numbers released by the Mutual UFO Network or MUFON have said that they've reported 59 sightings in Maine last year, which is down from 73 in 2001 and 98 in 2020. But according to reports, there's been way more than that.
Yeah.
So whether MUFON are kind
they
of
only
just
get certain reports.
Well, don't MUFON do a bit of investigating and say that's not really? They can kind of explain that one, or they can't explain this one.
Yeah, they send an investigator into the area who signed up and done the training, and then they go and question people and that. And then
that might be why it is then, because like they've had say more reports, but they've been able to say that all those weren't.
If it was true or not, they usually keep it in the accounts anyway.
Oh, okay.
Because, some truths may turn out, or some bad reports may turn out the other way later on.
Right,
you never know.
You've seen this talking about UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how true it is. It's coming out of Russia. A mystery object described as by one local as a UFO has been shot down over southern Russia.
Yeah, I've just heard about this as well. Yeah, I haven't seen anything on it, but I heard a little whisper about it, I believe, last night, in fact.
Well, apparently a statement said, "I urge everyone to remain calm and ensure security. All forces and means are involved. The skies are covered in anti-aircraft defences."
Yeah.
He added without specifying what the object was.
Could have been a drone.
It could have been. At the end of the day, I can imagine that there are kind of things trying to get over the border. In terms of espionage or trying to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
So
cameras.
In his report, in the reporting on the comments of the local news outlet, the headline said the UFO in a form of a ball was shot down in the sky.
Right, well...
So obviously that was translated from Russian.
Yeah, well, I might actually have the answer for you.
Oh, go for it.
Or maybe not, because roughly same things have been happening over in Canada.
Oh, Canada!
Yeah, because if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about the footages that are coming out on cameras, at your doors and stuff like that. A lot of them have been coming from Canada.
Oh, right? Loads of those.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched this YouTube channel called Doorbell News.
Yeah.
And it's literally all ring doorbells. You get a lot of weirdos coming to the door, porch pirates. But you do get occasionally things shooting across the sky, which you can't explain. So, I think doorbell cameras always filming,
Yeah.
is a good thing. I think. Well, not in terms
well,
of.
it's catched a lot of criminals.
It's catched a lot of criminals, but it's also caught a lot of weird stuff. Ghosts, potentially.
Yeah. I still remember that creature that like flies. It's like really, really fast, and it's like an earwig, but he flies through the air.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that actually.
There was some weird shit going on that. But yeah, in Canada, it looks like that for quite a while now that unexplained objects have been flying through the sky, which we've been thinking have been meteorites.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane?
Well, now I think it's meteorites and asteroids because we're in a field of them at the moment.
Okay.
But scientists have actually come through with it looks like when they're not actually coming in. They're coming in on the direct angle. They're not actually coming in, from like sideways. It's like something's firing.
Oh, you think it's firing it or piloting it?
Firing it because they've actually pinpointed somewhere in the Oort
So
crowd.
they're saying about the trajectory of it means that it's been set
Directed.
off from the ground and it's flying through the air and then arcing and coming back down.
Well, no, it just looked like it's directed at Earth. Wherever Earth is at a certain point, because
from outside, the planet,
from outside our solar system, and even further out.
Someone's throwing stones at us.
Like think of 100,000 solar systems right next to each other, and that's how far it is.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we only actually detected our first interstellar object a couple of years ago, and now we're seeing loads of them. It's crazy.
But now it looks like there's a direct pinpoint, one place that's actually firing these directly at.
It's just spitting out stones. Yeah. Don't throw stones, scally boy.
Yeah.
I found this one. They're throwing stones. He's throwing more satellites up his Elon. SpaceX plans an overnight, overtime launch.
Oh.
So everyone's on double bubble.
Nice.
Launch
Good.
of 40 satellites in Cape Canaveral.
Ah.
So that will take place on, bear with me,
on this planet.
on this planet tonight.
Yeah,
Basically Sunday,
tonight.
the 8th of January, at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The rockets will carry 40 satellites of the OneWeb 16th mission, and it is scheduled as a backup opportunity from Monday, the January the 9th, 11:50. So I don't know, are they going to send it up like a day early as a backup?
No,
That
I
doesn't
think
make sense.
I think because there's been quite a number of delays. They've had a few issues on sending rockets up, so I don't know if they've got the right amount up there at the time now that they need. There may be like a time scale that we need 10 up in January, 10 up in February, and they just couldn't do it.
Right, okay.
So it's a rush job, isn't it, really?
Well, News 6 will stream the launch on the web as it happens. Systems and weather are looking good for the weekend, so a secondary launch.
And they hide every UFO that will be coming across.
Yeah, as usual. Cut the feed, cut the feed.
Cut the feed, quick.
My last story for NASA News is, so you can fly to space and back.
Oh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the new video. A new video proves the epic view of the historical SpaceX missions, so you can kind of check out this video, which is literally from launch to hitting into space. It's the full video, it's the full thing for it doing what it does in space and then returning and landing on the platform, and it is amazing. It provides an epic view of a historical kind of space launch.
Yeah,
it's really good to watch. I'll post it on social media, but it's really, really fucking cool to see, how all this is kind of operating.
And in the next couple of days, I believe maybe 4 or 5, Britain, using a Virgin flight, is taking a plane up with a space shuttle and not a space shuttle, but a delivery system to deliver a satellite.
This is going to be our first, some of our first sort of sort of efforts going into space as a country. So yeah, it's quite exciting stuff.
Yeah. Britain's getting right into it, and it's going from Cornwall.
Should be spending that money on the NHS. Instead of fucking about in space.
Yeah.
Come on, we've got other countries doing all that.
Fuck that. The amount of shit we need to sort. We need to sort out our rivals. We need to start. You know, this statistic.
Oh, I've got him going now. I've got him started. Go on.
One. How many shops do you reckon businesses close down per day?
Loads. Every time I go down a high street, mate, it's empty.
50 per day now.
I can imagine, yeah. People are struggling with the costs and
2008,
stuff.
it was 1 per day.
Well, there you go. On that shocking statistic, that's the end of the show.
It is.
Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Oh, yeah. You are in the 1%.
You are a trooper.
You are true fans. We'll be back next time for our 200th episode.
Oh, yeah, you can see our pretty little faces.
And we will have loads of extra stuff going on, as well as, like, the year ahead. We've got so much planned for this year. We've got some brilliant episodes coming up over the coming weeks.
Yeah,
got some fantastic guests lined up. Please make sure you come back and listen again. Hope you've enjoyed the show.
Spread the news as always.
Happy 2023.
Yes, 2020.
We'll be back. Additional information, if you want to get in touch with us, you know what to do. Go to neverstraightanswer@gmail.com and email us, or go to the website at neverstraightanswer.co.uk. You can go on social media at Twitter at NASA_never, or Instagram at neverstraightanswer. Yeah. I need to unify all that at one point. It's all a bit old broken. But
it's all right.
People can still find us. Go to the website. It's all on there. You can find merch. You can find downloadable episodes, videos,
anything
loads of content. Considering every episode's about 2 hours plus.
I know.
Yeah, virtually. 200 plus episodes. That's a lot of content.
It is.
Make sure you go and binge it.
Mouth's a bit dry now.
I know mine is a bit. I need a drink.
Yeah.
But like I say, we'll be back next week for another episode, and it'll be a belter. So don't miss it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of the show. So I will say, I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
We've been the Never a Straight Answer podcast. Peace. And a happy new year
to you.